destined for greatness. College hoops is back, and there's never been more on the line.
Coach spells fun, W-I-N.
From new yet dominant faces.
The best thing I can say about him, he's a warrior, competitor, and obviously he impacted the game in a lot of different ways.
To the pressure of greatness in Chapel Hill.
Yeah, there's a pressure and expectation to be good this year, but also in some sense to keep it there.
And dominance from here in the center of women's basketball.
This is about everybody being in it together. And I think when all of us are in it together, NC State's a force multiplier.
It's time to hoop. It's time to score. The race is on. In the road to the Final Four.
ABC 11 Sports presents The Starting Line, Road to the Final Four.
Well, if that doesn't fire you up for a new season of college hoops, then I don't really know what will here on Tobacco Road. Thanks for joining us for a special edition of ABC 11 Sports. I'm Kate Rogerson.
And I'm Trayvon Miles, and this is The Starting Line, Road to the Final Four. Over the next 30 minutes, we're diving into everything you need to know ahead of this college basketball season that should be full of excitement.
From UNC betting on a new court of transfers to Westmore and the Wolfpack looking for Zoe Brooks to take things to the next level.
But we'll begin right here in the Bull City because Duke basketball does not rebuild, folks. They reload. Jon Scheyer and the Blue Devils return. It was just over 6 months ago when we saw Duke in the Final Four in San Antonio. A lot of talent lost from a year ago. They saw all 5 starters go in the NBA draft, but plenty of talent returning, including all-ACC preseason pick Isaiah Evans. Caleb Foster was a starter in parts of last season. He returns to take on more of a veteran role for this team. And a few others that had limited roles last year will really be counted on this season, including Pat Gungba, Malik Brown, and Darren Harris. But make no mistake about it, the big fella Cameron Boozer will be the leader. 6'9", 250 pounds. He's got the Duke bloodlines. And if his first 2 exhibition games are anything close to what we'll see, defenses in the ACC and beyond are in for a long season. Trust me, 33 points and 12 rebounds against UCF. Then he followed it up with 24 points and 23 rebounds at Tennessee. A freshman doing that. That's pretty good, Kate, I would say.
We know that Duke men's basketball is going to be good. That's the standard.
Yeah.
However, Jon Scheyer isn't the only ACC champion coach that's roaming the halls of Cameron Indoor Stadium. Kara Lawson and the nationally ranked number 7 Duke women's basketball team enter the 2025-2026 season as favorites to once again win the conference. Last March, Duke won the ACC tournament, and they were just 1 game shy of reaching the Final Four. The Blue Devils got a taste of success. They know what it takes to win in the tournament. With key pieces like Ashton Jackson, Jaden Donovan, Toby Fournier, and Delaney Thomas still in the lineup, it's no wonder why people think the Blue Devils can repeat. I mean, come on, they returned 70% of their scoring. Yeah. However, the past is the past. Junior forward Delaney Thomas is quick to note that nothing is guaranteed.
You kind of got to forget the success that happens in the previous year because it's a blank slate. Everybody's in the same position. Game 1, everybody's 0-0. So just remembering, taking the experience with you, definitely, and wanting that success and building from there.
Duke women's basketball is no stranger to being tested and challenged. And Trey, they're going to start that pretty early on from tip-off on November 3rd.
Yeah, I really like what Delaney said in that. You can't think about anything that happened last year, the success of getting to the Elite 8. You got to start it all over. It's a new team, and as you said, they will be tested majorly. Let's just see how much of a challenge that non-conference schedule will be.
So the Blue Devils open the season in Paris versus number 16 Baylor. Then they'll play West Virginia. Then it's on to Vegas, where they will 100% face South Carolina. And then it's a toss-up between either Texas or UCLA. And on December 4th, Duke will get to host LSU at Cameron in the ACC-SEC Challenge. Trey, these 4 games are just their Power 4 opponents. 8 of Duke's first 9 games are against teams that played in the NCAA tournament. So, yeah, head coach Kara Lawson and Delaney Thomas, they're not afraid of any sort of challenge when it comes to getting things started on the right note.
Yeah, how about that? Look at that schedule. That schedule was just something. Really excited to see Kim Mulkey and LSU come to Cameron Indoor Stadium. That's going to be a really good game. But the job Kara Lawson has done, simply amazing. Every year she continues to just elevate this program. 2 years ago, they were in the second round. This past year, the year before, it was the Sweet 16. And then this past year, getting to the Elite 8. They won the ACC tournament. And although they did lose Oluchi Okonwa, they've got a number of players who can get them right back to where they were this past March and beyond. they will be set up later in the year by the slate that they play in the beginning of the year.
Kara Lawson always says, who can handle hard better? That's her slogan. So we're going to see how well Duke can handle hard early on.
Yeah.
Switching gears to the men's program, let's take a look at the success that Jon Scheyer has brought in 4 years as head coach of Duke.
This guy is pretty good. 89 career wins, tied for the most all-time for a Division I coach in his first 3 seasons. 2 years ago, he became the first person ever to win an ACC title as both a coach and a player. And last year, he became the first coach to ever win 2 ACC tournament titles in their first 3 years. Look, they handpicked Jon to replace the legendary Coach K. And all he's done since he's taken over is average 28 wins per season. 28 wins per season to take over for a legend. I would say he's done a phenomenal job.
In 2023, they made it to the first weekend NCAA tournament. In 2024, it was the Elite Eight. Of course, 2025, year 3 on the job. They went to the Final Four. So what does the future hold in 2026 in year 4, Trey? Can they get it done this year?
I don't know. You know, one thing that Jon Scheyer told me in his press conference over the summer, I asked him this straight up. I said, it's been 10 years since Duke's won a national championship. That's the longest span since Coach K began winning championships. I asked him, what do you have to do and what do you have to say to the fans that want to see the Blue Devils back on the mountaintop? He said, in short, if we keep getting there, basically, if we keep having the success that we've had over the last couple of years and we keep putting ourselves in position, things are going to fall our way. They got a really good group, and maybe that is what happens this year.
And the trajectory and the succession plan for Jon Scheyer, that's the next step.
I would agree.
That's the next step.
I would say so.
All right, that's Duke, but still to come on the starting line, we're going to talk about the University of North Carolina. The Tar Heels are ready to work, and they're doing so much with a larger lineup. What needs to be done for Hubert Davis, and what needs to be done on the women's side of the ball for UNC to get back to the mountaintop? For the first time since 2020, there isn't anybody named R.J. Davis wearing Carolina blue. This offseason, UNC men's basketball added 11 new faces. Head coach Hubert Davis wanted a roster that was bigger in size and more versatile on the court. With the help of general manager Jim Tanner and a $14 million budget, the Heels are totally reloaded. They got 6 transfers, 3 freshmen, 1 international product, and 1 player who earned a call-up from UNC's beloved JV squad. This new look Tar Heels team is the first time they don't have a returnee that started at least half its games since the 05-06 season. Head coach Hubert Davis, though, he's not worried about it. Why? Because this team has so much energy and connection both on and off the court.
It's a team that I don't have to poke and prod to get after it. They already do. And that's exactly what you want. They compete extremely hard out there on the floor, and then they're in the locker room laughing and joking around, and that's the type of team that you want to have.
College basketball fans may think that having 11 newcomers is kind of out of this world, but Trey, it's become the norm with the current state of the game.
Yeah, and you just talked about R.J. Davis, right? I do think to some capacity having R.J. Davis on the roster for the last 5 years, I don't want to say limited Hubert Davis and this team, but you were less worried about anything else, right? Get what I'm saying? So having these 11 new guys is really, to me, exciting for Hubert Davis, and he said so much as that. But I really think that it'll be really, really fun to see, because if this coaching staff can really coach, these 11 guys and these pieces are exciting pieces and fun pieces for them to have. Really excited to see what Carolina can do this year.
How well you can manage your roster is really what it's all about. And with the 11 newcomers, we're going to give you 2 players that we are on the lookout for to do big things in Carolina this year. My pick, Arizona transfer Henry Vassar. At 7 feet tall, Vassar brings a lot of height and length in the post, something this team lacked last year. He can rebound, he can block, he can even take and make a three-pointer if needed.
I see, Henry, and I'm raising you one time for the young fella. Caleb Wilson, another versatile piece for Hubert Davis and company, already being projected by many as a top 10 draft pick in next year's NBA draft. Super athletic kid. He defends with energy, and he is willing to attack the rim with violence. He's going to bring a lot of flair. He's going to bring a lot of confidence. and I really think he's going to bring a winning spirit to this UNC men's basketball group. He's a guy that Hubert Davis has said a bunch of times, if Caleb wanted to run for class president and university president, he could. He's that likable. He's a kid that everybody loves to be around, and I really think he's going to raise the spirit with his youth and his exuberance for this team in this basketball season.
There's a lot of energy with this UNC men's basketball team, and at ACC tip-off, Seth Trimble compared it to their Sweet 16 team from 2 years ago. So that's a pretty lofty comparison given the way that things have gone in the last few years in Chapel Hill. So we'll see.
Seth is a guy that they are going to be depending on
100%.
a lot as well.
100%.
Get your Ben & Jerry's. Seth Trimble is going to put on a show this year.
All
right, let's move to the UNC women led by head coach Courtney Banghart. The Tar Heels really pushed it to the limit last year. They got all the way to the Sweet 16 where they lost to Duke in Birmingham, but I really feel like they maximized the talent that they had a year ago. The challenge this year is, can they put it back together with a new look team? A few starters are returning, including Renaya Kelly and India Navarre, with some talented youngsters they'll be relying on, including sophomore Lainey Grant, who says this squad is hungry for more.
We have a lot of kids on this team that we may be young, but a lot of us went to March Madness last year. A lot of us got to compete and host last year. So we have a lot of experience in that type of realm. And I know everybody on the team is super hungry to, not just get there, but to get farther than we did last year.
Last year was the first time Carolina hosted a regional in Chapel Hill since 2016. So we talk about a lot of these teams getting a taste of success. They got it, and they want so much more.
Yeah, I think one thing that's underrated about this team is how much defense and how much they value playing defense. Courtney Banghart got this team last year to buy into playing defense, and that's why they got as far as they got last year. I think Banghart's recruiting has been phenomenal. They got Nyla Brooks, Virginia State Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year last year. She'll be a freshman on this team, and like they relied on Lainey Grant last year, I think they'll be relying on Nyla Brooks this year. Should be a really fun year in Carmichael, in Chapel Hill, and in the Dean Dome. All right, after the break, we'll go from Chapel Hill to Raleigh. I don't know if you've heard, but a red reckoning is upon us. The NC State Wolfpack are looking to capitalize off of a lot of excitement for both the men's and women's teams. We're diving into whether the Pack can finally turn the corner when we come back.
NC State is less than 1 week away from opening night at the Lenovo Center. And Wolfpack Nation, you could be in for the return of the noise meter. The school posted this teaser on X, and it has a lot of fans hoping that the Pack bring back one of those old school in-game elements. New NC State men's basketball coach Will Wade is bringing so much hype to the Pack. The team was the first left off of the AP Top 25 poll, so technically they enter the season ranked number 26 in the nation. Trey, it is time for a new era of NC State basketball, and it sounds like it's going to be a red reckoning.
Yeah, Kate, when Kevin Keatts was fired, make no mistake about it, there was one name that a lot of NC State fans wanted, and this past March, the moniker became its own movement online. Wade to State. NC State fans wanted Will Wade and what felt like a match made in heaven, and so far, it's living up to everything we assumed it would be. Will Wade has brought a new swagger. He's brought a new feel to State, a swagger that their fans have not felt in a long time. And with him, it really feels like the sky is the limit. The one thing that he and his teams will not lack is confidence. That was evident one of the first times we got to talk to him.
This is about everybody being in it together. And I think when all of us are in it together, NC State's a force multiplier. Starts with our administration. They're all in. They want to win. Then it goes to our players and our staff. We're all in. We want to win. Then it goes to our fans. They're all in. They've been all in. They want to win. All right? And all of us together are a force. We're NC State. We're red. Blood's red, right? Not blue. Blood's red. Red. And then it's going to be a reckoning for the ACC and for college basketball. You're going to have to deal with this. You hadn't had to deal with this because we hadn't always been on the same page.
So So Will Wade is tasked with getting the Pac men back on track. Meanwhile, the NC State women are striving for consistency. Welcome back into the starting line. It is finally time for a few bold predictions. Yeah. But first, we got to show some love to HBCU hoops because, as always, there's a couple unique storylines brewing this season. In the MEAC, Norfolk State is projected to finish at the top of the league. They're followed by Howard, South Carolina State, Morgan State, NC Central, and Delaware State are tied for 5th, followed by Maryland Eastern Shore, Trey's hometown team, and Coppin State.
I think the Hawks are going to take it. Come on, Hawks. You can do it. In the CIAA, Virginia State expected to finish number 1. Taking a look at the list, Fayetteville State, there you see the Broncos slated to finish 3rd. And another local team, Shaw, slated to finish 7 in the conference. CIAA men's basketball preseason poll right there. We'll have to see where Shaw and Fayetteville State wind up this year.
Switching gears to the ACC, the heart of Tobacco Road is where we are.
Yeah.
Trey, what do you got finishing at the top of the ACC men's basketball conference?
You know what? This was a really tough decision, but I went with the reigning champions, the Duke Blue Devils. I think they have enough to repeat this year. What about you?
I agree. I went with Duke. I think John Shire's coaching job is going to be put on display this year. They lost all 5 starters to the NBA, but they have so much talent. As we highlighted earlier in the show, Cam Boozer looks like the go-to guy. But I'm really interested to see, number 1, Isaiah Evans, but number 2, Malik Brown. How do these guys all mesh together and try to get Duke back to the top of the conference?
I think he has a lot of different guys that he will be able to use at his disposal to get back to that ACC championship. All right, let's move to the women's side. Who are you thinking women to win on the women's side? They didn't even have to change anything for me. I just kept the same 4 letters up there. I think Carol Lawson, I think her team is going to take it this year. Toby Fournier and company.
I'm going with Westmore and NC State, the women. The past 2 years, they've been in the ACC title game. In 2024, they lost to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Last year, they lost to Duke. It's 2026 the year that they win the conference tournament. Yeah. We'll see. And something really interesting I want to point out, this year was the first time in 2 decades that Duke, NC State, and North Carolina women were all projected to finish 1, 2, and 3 in the ACC conference.
And you know what's going to happen, right? I picked Duke. You picked NC State, so Carolina's going to win it.
So Carolina's going to win.
That's just how
Courtney
it happens.
Banghart, you're welcome.
All right, let's move fast forward to this year to our preseason, our early Final Four predictions. Kate, we'll start with you. Who are you going with this year?
I'm going with Purdue, Houston, Kentucky, and once again, I got the Duke Blue Devils going back to the promised land.
Yeah, we've got a similar list. I've got UConn on my list. Dan Hurley, I think he's going to yell and scream his way to another Final Four. Houston, really love what Kelvin Sampson is doing down there. I like Kentucky, and I also like Duke as well. We like Duke to get back to the Final Four. We'll have to see if they can finish it this year. How about on the women's side?
On the women's side of the conference, I think we also had some pretty similar lists. Yeah. I got UConn, South Carolina, Oklahoma, and UCLA out in the West making that jump.
So my list is a little bit different. We both have UCLA. We both have South Carolina. I picked TCU. I think TCU with Olivia Miles leaving Notre Dame, getting out of the ACC, making it a little bit easier for our teams to go a little bit further. So I really think those are going to be the 4 teams to make it to the Final Four this year.
It's important to note, we always say anything can happen in March. These are just predictions. It's October. We got a long way to go.
Yes.
But we like to kind of make things dramatic and out of proportion. So the moment we've all been waiting for,
roll,
who we got winning the national championship? Trey's natty pick?
I'm taking UConn. The Huskies getting back up to the final line again. I think, as I said, Dan Hurley, he reloaded this year, and I really think he is going to take it. What about you?
I'm going with Houston. I was so impressed by them last year in San Antonio. Kelvin Sampson is a fantastic coach. They obviously lost a lot of key pieces on their team, but something about their makeup and their togetherness, they came so close to beating Florida last year. I think they get it done this year in the Final Four, in the national championship. Let's switch gears to our women's picks.
Unanimous.
I think we had a decision.
Yeah, it was pretty easy to me. And you know what's interesting about this? UConn going to be led by a young lady who calls the triangle her home.
Yeah.
Why didn't she come to UNC, Duke, or State? She's at UConn. Sarah Strong, I think she's going to lead them back to a national championship. Gino Auriemma, the rich get richer.
Of course, and an interesting year for UConn because there's no Paige Becker, so it might turn into the Sarah Strong show.
Yes, it will.
That's going to do us for us here at the starting line. We cannot wait for college basketball season to begin on Monday night. If you see us out and about, make sure you say hi, stop us, and let us know what you think of our picks.
That's right, and make sure you get all your highlights and your college basketball news from us from now until March.
Have a great night. April.
That's right. Have a great night.